So in the past few years, I've been through something where I felt everything was hopeless, meaningless. There's no meaning to life, so why even go on? Now, obviously, if you're in this kind of state, you may want to seek help from someone who knows what they're doing, because I'm just sharing my story here and what I went through and what worked for me. So the first thing I want to talk about is the plunge. So when it first came on, I didn't really know what was going on. Now, I have a background in meditation. I've been meditating for a long time, just observing myself and observing my mind and what's going on and how I react and how I create my experience of life. But still, this was something I hadn't experienced before, because suddenly everything just felt like I had no energy to do anything. And it was more like life was showing me that, okay, nothing is meaningful or nothing feels meaningful, so what's truly valuable? I got to start over and to truly ask myself, so what is my life about and what am I truly interested in? But at first, what I struggled with was the feeling of anguish and just not feeling like, or asking myself, why am I living if I'm feeling like this? Now, luckily, as I said, I've been observing myself for a long time, so even though I had those thoughts of, okay, why go on? Why keep going if I feel like this? I could observe those thoughts and not react to them or identify with them. Because I have a family, I have a lot of things I do, so I'm not just going to end my life, because there's so much that can still happen. And I'm so aware of the fact that my mind doesn't know everything. So even though I'm feeling something bad, feeling this anguish, that doesn't mean that life is inherently meaningless or that something is wrong. It just means that I'm going through something. So it wasn't easy in the beginning, but eventually I began challenging my mind, because my mind was saying, okay, everything is meaningless. It was making these flip comments, and I was just believing those comments. So I started challenging my mind and going, well, do I really know if things are meaningful or meaningless? Do I know that I can't bear this anguish? And I don't know, because my mind doesn't know everything. My mind doesn't know if life is meaningful or meaningless, or it doesn't know what's going on. So I'm not just going to listen to my mind because it says something and because I feel something. So I observed myself, and I was willing to face my own anguish in a way. Because when I started challenging my mind, then I started just feeling the anguish inside fully. Whatever is going on, the fear, the anguish, whatever story my mind is cooking up, I was willing to just feel everything. And I discovered that when I was willing to feel everything and to face everything, there was something beyond all that seeming meaninglessness. And it was just something, it's hard to describe. It's almost like an emptiness or a nothingness, but in a good way, because it's freeing once you go beyond just believing your mind. Now, if you do this the first time, your mind will most likely say, this is bad, you shouldn't be doing this, something is wrong. And when that happened to me, all I could do was smile, because I've been doing this for a long time, just meditating and observing myself. And I know the tricks of my mind and how it tries to leverage me into doing something, taking action, or trying to fix how I feel or whatever is going on. Now, with all that said, this didn't really make a big difference. I mean, it helped me cope with the situation, but I still felt empty inside. And I still felt like I didn't have much energy and that something was wrong. So all of this helped me ride out this phase of my life. And what I also discovered was that I had to take care of my body, because what tends to happen is if you're depressed or feel like everything is meaningless, you tend to stop taking care of yourself. You stop exercising, you stop moving, you stop eating well, and that just spirals this whole thing out of control because your body needs what it needs to feel good. So I had to force myself to take walks, to give myself breaks, to eat fruits, vegetables, you know how it goes, the foods that are good for you. But even though I was feeling like I felt like everything was meaningless, I still felt interested and drawn to certain things. I still wanted to learn about things, and I wanted to learn about what was going on within me. So looking back, it felt like life was meaningless. But I'm not sure. I mean, if I look back, it was just another phase of life. Like I talked about in a previous video, where we all go through seasons, the seasons of life, where sometimes we have summer and growth, sometimes we have winter, contraction, destruction, and seemingly nothing happening, everything being cold and lifeless. But in my life, this period has been helpful because it allowed me to look at what I want to believe in, what I hold valuable, and what I'm truly interested in. So I would call it the end of a chapter that allows me to let go of the baggage I no longer need to move on to the next phase of life. And people so often say, well, it happened for a reason, and maybe it did, I don't know. But I've noticed that if you live long enough, then anything bad or seemingly bad, when it's integrated, it will help you live your life because you've learned something that you can use in your life right now. And then you can say, well, it happened for a reason. Well, you have to be interested in learning about what's going on and integrating it into who you are. So I don't know if life is meaningful or meaningless, but I know that I can live a meaningful life if I follow what's interesting to me, what's fascinating, what's magnetic, and I do that one step at a time. And if you feel like life is meaningless, then start by challenging your mind, because your mind doesn't know if it's meaningful or meaningless. There's so much to explore in this world. We don't really know what's going on. And once you start challenging your mind, you start feeling whatever anguish you're feeling fully, and maybe even working with someone who can help you, then you start realizing that it's not what it seems to be. So, yeah, it's an interesting period to go through this and to feel that sense of not wanting to hold on to anything, not having any meaning, any hope, because that makes you stronger. It made me stronger because I had to rely on just myself, just watching myself and being with myself. So I might talk about this more in the future, but for now I think that covers it.